What's up, world? Welcome to Cage Minds. I'm your host, Mike, and today we're talking about UFC 136, Edgar versus Maynard 3. We'll finally get some clarity to the lightweight division. Can't wait for that. Also, a featherweight title fight, so 2 belts on the line. It's a huge card in a huge place, Houston, Texas. It's so big, we're going to need 2 shows to cover it. This is the first part of 2 parts. First one, the prelims. Second one, we'll have the main card. We'll get right to it. The first prelim is Steve, the robot Camwell, who's 7-4, taking on Mike, the master of disaster Masanjia, who's 12-5. Both of these guys coming off of some hardships. Camwell, a 3-fight losing streak, now debuting at middleweight. Masanjia, normally a middleweight, has dabbled in the lightweight division. Last bout was against Krzysztof Szusinski, coming back to the UFC. Lost at lightweight. It was a bout he took on short notice. Now he's back to his home at middleweight, taking on the debuting at middleweight Cantwell, who had lost 3 straight as a light heavyweight. That being said now about them, they both have pretty similar skill sets. Both are black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Both are studying and learning their Muay Thai and their boxing, stacking up on their striking. Cantwell's been able to strike against Ryan Stantz or Rildy Abante. That being said, I think he's faced tougher guys. Krzysztof Szusinski, a tough opponent that Masanjia had, but he was totally dominated, controlled, and just overpowered. I think that Cantwell's going to have that same, not a same amount of power advantage, but the same kind of power advantage, dropping down over at least over Masanjia. I think we're going to see this one go all the way. It'll primarily be a stand-up match, seeing as I think their grappling skills are going to nullify each other. Both really based on jiu-jitsu, neither a superiorly strong wrestler. So I see everything will cancel each other out. They stay standing, 15 minutes, unanimous decision for Cantwell. Just overpowering, more pressure, keep it moving forward. Second fight is Aaron A-Train Simpson, who's 9-2, taking on Eric Red Schaefer, who's 14-5-2. Aaron Simpson trains out of Power MMA, Ryan Bader, CB Dalloway in Arizona. They're based off of being the Arizona State wrestling team. They wrestle. They work hard at their wrestling. He has power in his hands, but not a great technical style. Schaefer has a lot of technique when it comes to his striking game, training with Duke Rufus. Not a superiorly strong or dangerous striker, but very good technique, always improving, a brilliant Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. I think that Simpson's going to want to get the fight to the ground. Schaefer will allow it for somewhere. I think at some point Schaefer will get too confident, not really be doing too much damage, probably a lay and pray, and he'll get caught. I think he'll get caught in an arm bar. The stand-up game should be kind of ugly. This fight will get to the ground because Simpson wants it to. Schaefer will allow it to because Simpson will be throwing so many weird, awkward haymakers that he'll just let it go to the ground. And I think that will be the undoing of Simpson as he'll be submitted towards the end of the fight. 3rd round armbar. Eric Schaefer, welcome back to the UFC. Next fight is Tequane, the Mongolian Wolf Zhang, who's 18-1, taking on Darren the Damage Elkins, who's 13-2. Tequane, this is going to be his 3rd trip in the octagon. He fought Jason Reinhardt. His other opponent, I can't remember. He's had some success in the UFC. As for an Asian fighter, that's a big triumph, especially being in the lighter weight classes, where now as he gets deeper into the weight class, he's going to be facing guys that are more adept to cutting weight, to being the bigger fighter. His first test is Elkins. Elkins is going to come in, use presser, use wrestling, use some lay and pray. As we saw against Omagawa, he wasn't too effective with the stand-up game, but he is a phenomenal grappler. He will put the pressure on. He will use his wrestling, his top control. It goes to Elkins. I think he'll have too much top control and too much physical power. Zhang has a very good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game, excellent submissions, but I don't think that he's going to physically be strong enough to get Elkins. I think Elkins is going to take a unanimous decision with lay and pray, staying on top, not really being exciting for us, but a unanimous decision for the wrestler anyway. The last of the prelims that are on Facebook, these were all Facebook fights, is going to be a heavyweight battle. Joey, the Mexicutioner Beltran, 13-5, taking on Stipe Miocic. If I said his name wrong, I apologize. He's 6-1, Croatian, who's born via America, training kickboxing with Krokov, a Golden Gloves champion, and a national wrestling champion. Beltran, never in a boring fight. Mitch Frione, Barry, they both beat him. They couldn't stop him. They're both excellent strikers. This fight is going to be fun. This fight will be great to watch. Glad it's free. It's a spike level where the fight, both men are going to throw haymakers. Stipe is definitely going to have a advantage when it comes to the wrestling. Of course, a huge experience advantage for Beltran. The striking, that's where it's all going to go down. That's where it's going to be interesting. Stipe with the Gold Gloves background, the training is kickboxing with Mirko Krokov. You got to think that his stand-up is going to be very impressive. Beltran is always fun to watch. A head full of cement, will never stop, cannot be stopped, it seems like, has survived some heavy shots, beat Aaron Rosa in his last battle. It's not like we're talking about a fighter that's over the hill or done. He's a fighter that's very exciting. The style that he fights is conducive for making it exciting. I think this will be a slugfest for 3 rounds. I think that Stipe will win the fight using takedowns towards the end of the rounds, having enough head on his shoulders to keep the fight as a brawl, to be exciting, but then use some technical aspects to win the rounds, taking unanimous decision victory. Now we're moving on to the Spike fights, which are some pay-per-view quality level matchups that we get to see free on Spike TV. Anthony Showtime Pettis, 11-2, taking on the little heathen, Jeremy Stevens, who's having a 20-6 record. Both men are going to want to strike, and this is going to be a striking showcase again. Showtime Pettis, we all know him, the big cage kick, the last lightweight champion before the WEC merged with the UFC. We know about his grappling aspects by now. In his last 3 bouts, he's taken on Shane Roller, Ben Henderson, and Clay Guida. He can grapple. He's not a superb wrestler, but he has enough skills. He has Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills and a great triangle sub guys off of his back. That being said, fighting Stevens, he should need none of that because Stevens throws leather, likes to make it exciting, takes it out to the backyard, likes to brawl. He boxes, he does some kickboxing, does some boxing, goes for submissions if you put him on his back. Neither guy is going to look for a takedown here. This is the exact fight that Pettis is looking for because of the aforementioned last several competitors he's faced have been purely grapplers. Now he gets to face a striker. This is his showcase. This is his look at me. You thought I was a superstar. I lost to Guida, but I'm still there. He wins this fight in impressive fashion, and that just skyrockets him so much more. Stevens, he's a lot of fun. He's great, and if Pettis comes in and gets too cocky or confident, puts his sounds down too low, Stevens can walk away with a huge knockout of the night check. All that being said, I think that Pettis will show great all-around striking he's the 3rd-degree Taekwondo practitioner. I think he's going to outstrike him. I don't think he's going to finish him. Jeremy Stevens, very hard to be stopped. His last couple stoppages, his 3 in his career, were all via the submission. I don't think that Pettis is going to aggressively get him into a point where he's going to submit him. He could possibly take his back if he catches him with a shot. So it looks to me that that would be his best way to finish the fight, but I think it's going to stay striking for 3 rounds, and I think Anthony Pettis will take a unanimous decision. But that being said, it just came to me. I'm thinking of it. Pettis does have a huge advantage with the submission, and if he was able to take Ben Henderson's back, if he connects with a wild kick, I could see him taking Stevenson's back. Now we're moving on to the next Spike fight. Loving this fight, too. It's a middleweight battle. Maia, who's 14-3, taking on the Sandman, Jorge Santiago, who's 23-9. Maia coming off of a hard-fought battle and loss to rising middleweight star Mark Munoz. With that fight, Maia's grappling is world-class. His wrestling is greatly improving. He submits Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts for a living. His Muay Thai striking is just growing, and now he is hanging out with Vanderlei Silva, so it's growing in a dangerous, violent, powerful way. As for Santiago, good stand-up. A Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt himself, has won world championships. Coming over, he was, I think, the Dream or Sendoku middleweight champion, so I had a lot of hopes for him, was very excited to see him here in America, and then Brian Stann knocked him out. So this is to keep his notoriety, this is to keep him in the UFC, to keep the hype for him. American Top Team pushing behind him and everything. I think, though, that Maia is going to be able to catch Santiago as Santiago's stand-up offense is good. His defense is there lacking. He's going to get caught with a shot, and I think that Maia will be able to take this to the ground and hop all over a rear naked choke in the second round, finishing the fight. We're seeing Damian Maia grow as a mixed martial arts practitioner, and I think he's going to start this fight using his newly found Muay Thai skills and end it with his deadly Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's been our picks for the prelims. We'll be back for part 2. It's Cage Minds. Thanks for watching.